Hello everyone, this is Theresa Edens presenting her topic for her research paper. In order to fulfill the requirements of this class, Cross-Cultural Ministry Leadership, this writer has chosen the topic Leadership Styles of Cross-Cultural Leaders Serving in Cambodia. The purpose of this study is to discover the leadership styles of cross-cultural leaders serving in Cambodia and compare and contrast their leadership styles with the traits of servant leadership. In order to complete this study, this writer will study the leadership styles of cross-cultural leaders serving in Cambodia by conducting interviews, consulting journals and books that deal with leadership tactics, behaviors, and outcomes of American and Filipino leaders that minister in leadership capacity in Cambodia. These leadership styles will be studied, compared, and contrasted to discover the compatibility of the servant leadership style within the Cambodian cross-cultural ministry. In order to gather part of the information for the research process, this writer chose to interview 2 leaders through email from the Kingdom of Cambodia and 1 international leader in a personal interview. In preparing for this study, this writer first had to define servant leadership. What is servant leadership? The author, Larry Spears, gives the reader a great overview in his journal of Virtues in Leadership, published for Regent University. Larry Spears served as the president and the CEO of the Robert K. Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership from 1990 to 2007. He is a well-known writer and an expert in the field of servant leadership, and he has published books and hundreds of articles, essays, newsletters, and publications on servant leadership. In the specific article entitled Character and Servant Leadership, he gives the definition of a servant leader. His definition states, the servant leader is servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve. Then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. The best test is, do those served grow as persons? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants? And what is the effect on the least privileged in society? Will they benefit or at least not be further deprived? And that's Greenleaf, 2002, page 27. With this definition, Greenleaf coined the term servant leadership. From the time Greenleaf introduced these 2 terms together, quote, servant and, quote, leader, which previously were viewed as opposite, the idea became the ultimate model of leadership. He also introduced a set of 10 characteristics of a servant leader that are critically important to his concept. They are listening, empathy, healing, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, commitment to the growth of the people, and building community. And that's Greenleaf 2010. Another author, Warren Bennis, in his book on becoming a leader, identifies vision, inspiration, empathy, and trustworthiness as key characteristics of effective leaders. And that's Bennis, 1989, page 140. So now, having an understanding of what a servant leader should be, this writer needed to take these concepts and apply them to the cross-cultural research of Cambodian leadership. In the gathering of the data for this research paper, this writer concentrated on 2 questions to be answered. The first question is, What are the leadership styles of cross-cultural leaders serving in Cambodia? The second question that this writer will attempt to answer is, how do the leadership styles compare and contrast with the traits of servant leadership? To properly apply and answer these questions, this writer had to take a look at the culture and the history that has impacted leadership styles in Cambodia. In examining an article entitled "The History Place," this writer discovered that over 2 million people died from 1975 to 79 due to the genocide of these years. One of the major things that has impacted leadership for many years is that the country, impacted leadership for many years in that country was the horrific killing of all leaders by Pol Pot. History reveals that on April the 17th, 1975, Pol Pot gained complete control of Cambodia. All foreigners were expelled, embassies were closed, and all foreign assistance was refused. Foreign languages were forbidden, newspapers and televisions were shut down, religion was banned, education was stopped, healthcare was eliminated, and parental authority was revoked. Cambodia was sealed off from the outside world, and even their money had been outlawed. Gatherings of any more than 2 people also had been outlawed. Throughout Cambodia, deadly purges were conducted. The educated, the wealthy, the police, the doctors, lawyers, teachers, government officials, and ex-soldiers were all killed. Ethnic groups were attacked, including 3 of the largest minorities, which were the Vietnamese, the Chinese, and the Muslims. 50% of the estimated 425,000 Chinese living in Cambodia perished in 1975. On January the 7th, 1979, Pol Pot was deposed. The Vietnamese installed a, quote, puppet government, and Cambodia went through a series of power struggles in the 1990s, and Pol Pot finally lost power and died in 1998 before he was able to be tried for his genocide. All of this put Cambodia's leadership into disarray and inconsistency that has lasted for many years. With all of the educated leaders dead, only military, autocratic leaders were in charge of Cambodia. So this writer's question is, how did the disarrayed leadership evolve into the leadership that exists today in Cambodia? In one of this writer's interviews, she discovered that the answer is that leaders had to be brought in from other countries. The entire education system had to be rebuilt, while at the same time the government tried to take care of its people as best as they could. New leaders were appointed to control all areas of Cambodia. The new leaders had to work bivocationally to support themselves as well as govern the people. Missionaries and other religious organizations were allowed to come in and help teach agricultural farming to the people as long as they did not cause conflict with the government. One of the countries that sent missionaries was the Philippines. The Philippines and Cambodia resumed diplomatic relations in 1995. Cambodia allowed the Philippines to put an embassy in Phnom Penh. Over the years, the government of Cambodia relaxed its restrictions on religion. This opened the door for religious groups to teach Christianity along with agriculture. U.S. Christian missionaries were also allowed to enter the country to witness and educate the Cambodian people from outside cultures. This writer found this interesting because Buddhism is the official religion of Cambodia. the history of Buddhism has existed since at least the 1st century AD. Even though Christians only make up only 3% of the Cambodian population, Christianity is growing, especially when connected to educational purposes. One of the recent colleges that was established and authorized by the Cambodian government is the Highlands Bible College of Cambodia. The leaders of this college came out of the transformation of the Rawlings Institute, an American educational nonprofit organization which was funded and created by the Rawlings Foundation of America. Dr. Herb Rawlings was the founder of this extraordinary educational facility that the government allowed to be created as an agricultural institute and later became a Christian college in October of 2012. The leadership of this college was both transformational and exhibited servant leadership, which was a draw to the common people of Cambodia. Two of the leaders who reside in Cambodia are from the Philippines and are two of the interviews conducted by this writer. Part of the research concluded that the government leadership still remains corrupt in some areas and exhibits only autocratic leadership. But religious leaders have introduced successfully in some areas a new servant leadership model that is growing and helping to impact the people and the culture of Cambodia. The results of the acceptance of servant leadership is believed to have happened because of the poor state of the citizens who needed empathy, compassion, and care. These attributes are a direct result of servant leaders having an impact on the people of Cambodia. Again, the 10 characteristics of a servant leader are listening, empathy, healing, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, commitment to the growth of the people, and building community. And again, that's Greenleaf 2010. At least listening, empathy, and healing have helped introduce servant leadership. Listening involves leaders that have traditionally been valued for their communication and decision-making skills. Although these are also important skills for the servant leader, they need to be reinforced by a deep commitment to listening intently to others. The servant leader needs to seek to identify the will of a group and help clarify that will. He or she listens receptively to what is being said and unsaid. Listening also encompasses hearing one's own inner voice. Listening, coupled with periods of reflection, is essential to the growth and well-being of the servant leadership. Also, another characteristic, empathy. The servant leader strives to understand and empathize with others. People need to be accepted and recognized for their special and unique traits and spirits. One assumes the good intentions of coworkers and colleagues and does not reject them as people, even when one may be forced to refuse to accept certain behaviors or performance. The most successful servant leaders are those who have become skilled, empathetic listeners. And then healing. The healing of relationships is a powerful force for transformation and integration. One of the great strengths of servant leadership is the potential for healing oneself and one's relationship to others. Many people have broken spirits and have suffered from a variety of emotional hurts. Although this is part of being a human, servant leaders recognize that they have an opportunity to help make whole those with whom they come in contact. In his essay, The Servant as Leader, Greenleaf writes, "There is something subtle communicated to one who is being served and led, if implicit in the compact between servant leader and led is the understanding that the search for wholeness is something they share." And that's Greenleaf, 2002, page 50. Thank you.